Wow. There we go. Right, I think I'm here. I don't know if anyone's coming. Let's see if I can view. Oh, it's showing me all sorts of things. Right. Good. Hello! I'm a bit quiet. Oh, I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. It's only offering me the choice to mute the microphone. Let me just see if I can manage. Anyway, hello Stevie. I hope you've had a lovely day. Your book town, whatever it is called, looked amazing. Huge and amazing, and I don't know how long you've been working on it. Okay, there's other people joining. I don't know if I can see who you are unless you say hello. So say hello. I could, oh look, it's got all sorts of filters. I really want to try the one that says glamour. I don't know that it massively has made me look glamorous. Dance party. I mean, yeah. Okay, I think we could stop those. Okay, the microphone might have been covered. Yeah, entirely possible. I don't quite know what I'm doing with this. So there we go. So what I was going to do, I've got Ursula. Hello, nice to meet you. I don't know if I know you, but thank you for joining us. I'm going to show you first of all, because I'm very proud. This is my holiday countdown stitch along from Evertaupe Roxy Flosscoat Modern Folk Embroidery, and mine doesn't look like anyone else's because I'm me. So it's got almost all of the colours in it. I'll try and hold it in a way that's not entirely. I haven't got anything to put behind it. That was a bad mistake. It's got almost all the colours. There was one that was a really, really dark brown. It was almost black. And I just didn't think this piece needed a colour like that in it. So it's almost all the colours, none of them in the right places. That's not quite true. I did the first few in the right places and then I went my own way. And I also made some changes. So here, hi Peggy, I added in, so the reindeer were charted. So I added in the sort of vaguely looking holly berries and leaves to make that a bit more Christmassy. And then I also changed the wording at the top. So the original chart says Anno 2023, and it's also got a crown up here. And I've changed mine, and it says Song 212. And that's because I think this piece, well, I don't know how it makes you feel, what sort of mood it is. To me, it certainly isn't really a Christmas piece, or even really a winter piece. Other than the reindeer, there's nothing really that signals that. It makes me think of spring with the birds and the leaves and the flowers. This is cherry blossom, this floss at the top, and these pretty colours. And so it made me think of and the blossoming of the vines and the early figs and all of those things. So I have changed it to say Song 2 verse 12. I'm going to tell you in a minute what I'm going to do with this because I've had an idea. But the first thing I want to tell you about is the giveaway that I'm going to do. And this is just for people on the live. If you would like to be in the giveaway, you just need to leave at some point a comment that says the word Jacob. Because what you are going to get is the chart from the holiday countdown stitch along. Now, what you're actually going to get, so this is day 25. I'm not going to show, well, am I going to show the chart? No, I'm not going to show the chart because the video is going to appear later. So you're going to get day 25, but day 25 has got a little bit of me scribbling and highlighting where I've made some changes. So you're also going to get day 24, which shows you all of that without, it's got no scribbling on it at all. So you will have the whole chart very visible, day 24 and day 25. And you're also going to get enough floss from the original calendar to stitch it. So you hardly need any at all. This gives you the stitch counts down here, and you can see the sort of size they are, between about 150 and 250 stitches max. So you're going to get enough that whatever fabric you choose, I'm not sending you fabric, whatever fabric you choose, you will have enough to stitch the chart, and you've got the days, the symbols, the name of the threads, all of that. So if you'd like to win that, oh, you're also going to get, the bonus chart that we got for 2025. It's another Jacob chart. It's lovely. I'm not going to stitch it, so I'm going to send you that. And I'm also going to send you the little needle minder that came in the countdown box. And if you would like to be in with a chance of winning that, you need to put the word Jacob somewhere in the chat. I feel like that's something we probably won't be discussing a whole lot in the chat otherwise. So if you'd like to win, and I will send this anyway because it's not very much, needle minder, floss, one chart, two charts, then do put Jacob in the chat. And I'll try and remind people, because I know people will have to come and go during the time, what you can do. And I'm hoping that what will happen is, as after the live stream has stopped, the video will be uploaded and all the chat messages will appear as comments, like normal comments, and then I'll pick the winner and I'll announce the winner at my next normal Flosstube. If you've got any questions about that, or if you know that's not going to work, let me know. Let me know. I really, really enjoyed stitching it. What I would say is stitching it according to the days it was released does make life unnecessarily difficult for yourself. I mean, you can, because it's got them all listed, day 1 to 25. I would definitely say start by stitching the frames, and then the counting will be a lot easier. We had to do, particularly in days 4 and 5, that sort of time, quite a lot of difficult counting and random bits in this middle section. And don't do it like that unless you really, really want to recreate that experience precisely. Just stitch it as you would any other chart. So be sensible about it and stitch the frame first. That's what I'd recommend. Yours obviously will not look like this unless you somehow take a photo of this and copy Michael. I've just noticed I've missed a bit out. There's supposed to be little doodads on the end of these little diagonal lines in this and over here. So anyway, I will add those in probably in some colour, because I have gone off-piste in quite a lot of places. So, I mean, feel free to go off-piste in your own direction. You know, you will have the advantage, obviously, of seeing the whole design at the start, and so you'll know what you want to do. Like, for example, on the original, these are golden squirrels. And, I mean, squirrels, beautiful red, orangey, dark red, orange squirrels, lovely. Grey squirrels, very common. The original was a sort of golden colour, and I've certainly never seen a squirrel that colour. So I felt completely free to make mine this kind of pale blue. I've never seen a blue squirrel either, obviously, but I was fine with that. So the little squirrels, little dogs, little reindeer, and obviously the birds. Mine are all in different colours from the original charting, and you are free to do yours however you want as well. So I said I had a plan for what I was going to do with that. Anyone else been doing the holiday countdown stitch along? Anyone else decided what they're going to do with theirs? Anyone got any ideas what I should do with mine? Your chance, leave a comment. Hi Chris, nice to meet you. Good. Well, maybe you will be able to join along later if you win the chart. So if you have been watching Michelle, Mama Loves You, Mama Loves You GB, The Fountain of Jacob in a Land of New Wine. Exactly. It is a very appropriate name, isn't it? To have a sort of biblical reference as well. Mama Loves You GB, she was stitching along. Hers is much more following the instructions than mine. And she noticed and mentioned in one of her last, I don't know whether it was the last one or the one before that, of her Flossmas videos, that this chart is exactly the same size as Jacob's new chart. I think it's called With Love. And I think it's the chart, if you want the whole kit and caboodle, you can order the the Salentine, like Valentine, but stitch along, of that from Evertotes. Or you can do what I did, which is just order the PDF pattern from Jacob's own website at Modern Folk Embroidery. And what I'm going to do, if I had planned this in beforehand, I would have arranged this differently on the fabric, but I think there is still room. I'm going to stitch that on the other half of my fabric here, the other way round. Now, the borders will be very tiny, and you wouldn't want to do this if you were doing, for example, a framed finish. You might just about get away with a pillow finish. And I think I'm just about going to get away with it with the finish that I'm planning. So I'm going to have this one, and then another one, which will be exactly the same size, and I'm going to stitch it using the same flosses, the rest of the flosses. Because although I've used them once and I'm giving you the same flosses, there is still loads left because I've only done this with one strand, most of it. I did the biscotti here with 2 strands. I'm going to stitch the other one hopefully here, and then I'm going to make the 2 of them together into the cover for what is going to be a cross stitch scrapbook slash traveler's notebook slash journal. So I plan to make this and sort of back this really firmly so that these will be the outside cover, and then the rest of the book will be a way for me to finish other items. They'll have to be anything smaller than this, but actually I don't stitch very much that is larger than this. Can be finished a little bit like a binder, I guess, into its own little scrapbook. And then this will be, I've been meaning to make more cross stitch books basically. I really like a book. I like a book finish. It doesn't take up lots of room, which is good if you've got a tiny house like mine, or indeed, you know, just your walls are full already, however big your house. But it's still a beautiful thing and easy to access on the shelf, and you can take it down and do that. So just a reminder, the kind of numbers of people joining us are sort of constantly going up and down. So there is a giveaway going on for the holiday countdown chart and floss and other bits and pieces. Put the word Jacob in your comment if you would like to be in with that. So that is my holiday countdown and the giveaway. Good. What else? I have been stitching. So my most recent Flosstube video, I had my finish parade, 40 finishes. Now, to be fair, that was 40 assuming that I would finish this, which obviously I have, and assuming that I would finish the model that I'm stitching for the Celebration of Colour stitch along. I haven't finished that yet, but I will, I think. I'm more than halfway through, and it is a really quick stitch. It just turns out that there's quite a lot of other stuff that goes on at this time of year. Who knew? But I've got a lot of time. Hi, Joanne. Glad you could join us. Yeah, so that will be finished in the next couple of days. The first part of that is going to be released on 31st of December. So if you wanted to do it as one of your New Year, New Starts on New Year's Day, you will have the first part ready to get stitching with that. I think I put in a video description somewhere, who knows which one, the dates where they will all be released. I will try and add that again. I don't know if I can add a description to this video. Anyway, there will be videos coming, and I'm really excited about doing this. There will be a little video released with every release of a part of the pattern, and that will enable me to add a link to where you can download each chart. So because one or two people were saying, oh, but I don't have Instagram, how will I access it? I think you could access the Instagram link that you would need, but I will, because if I do have a video released with each chart release, then if I add the link there, then you won't get too behind. I mean, that was my only concern, was that I might be releasing charts. You know, at one point I'm planning to have a bit coming out every week, and I'm not necessarily planning to have a Flosstube every week, but I will have a little stitch along video, so I can add the links to those. And it's really fun. I've been thinking about, I haven't recorded them yet. Again, that's a project for this week, but I'm going to include a couple of videos about some of the artists that have inspired me. I'm going to include a little bit more colour theory. So if you've seen the video that I did about the colour wheel, I'm going to expand that a bit, because there are other axes, I suppose is the way I would describe it, that colours vary. So not just hue changing from, you know, red to orange to yellow, but within each colour they can be lighter or darker, they can be more muted or more saturated. And when we're dealing with floss and fabric, they can be mixed colours. That is, they can have, you know, when you look very closely, actual different discernible colours within there. And our brains process that in a particular kind of way, differently from something that is a flat, solid sort of colour. So we'll have a little bit of chat about that, because that sort of thing really plays into colour substitution. So we'll talk about that in some of the videos. But also, I've got several books about colour, and I've got one about choosing colour palettes. So I thought we'd get that out and have a look at the way in which colours work together in a palette, the way in which the proportion you have of each colour makes a difference to the palette. I've got, some of you may have come across The Secret Life of Colour, or The Secret Lives of Colour, I think it's called. And that's a really fun book with the sort of history of how different colours became paints or dyes, or the significance they have in society. And, you know, why was purple always the colour of royalty, for example? I love it. In the Roxy Flosco, for the holiday countdown, the purple, the really deep, rich purple, it's a beautiful purple, is called royalty free, which I thought was genius. It is one of the things I love most about Roxy Flosco, is their naming of colours. And what do we have? Guess the colour, guess the colour. You'll be pine, pine dark green, obviously. Frost and found, love it. That was a very pale green. Fresh cut, sort of a more grassy mid-green. Some of these are really beautiful. On point, for a very pale sort of ballet pink. The occasion, I didn't get this one at all, and I think it's because when I opened that envelope and took it out, to me it was reading much more like a sort of tan, like a rich kind of brown, but nonetheless quite brown. But actually, if you look at it in the daylight, it is a rosy pink. And so it is rose to the occasion, which I quite enjoyed. Royalty free, I really enjoyed. Take a Bow, B-O-U-G-H, excellent. Classic Roxy Flosco naming. You know, this from the place that gives us legendary for a cream coloured floss. Anyway, so that's the thing I'm going to be doing this week, is the little videos to introduce. And I will, as I'm stitching the model, I am taking photos after each section. So I will have those to show you in the videos, and I'll just talk a little bit about the stitching for each section as well. I have tried, unlike the holiday countdown, to make it so that you don't have difficult counting. So that's why some of the stitching is weighted towards the earlier sections, so that you can fit more of the frame in then to make the rest of the stitching easier. Yeah, I think it's easier to count stitches than holes, generally, I think. So, yeah, so I can't remember why I was telling that. Anyway, yeah, I agree. There isn't anything else like modern folk embroidery. I'm glad loads of people love it. I see people, if you haven't put a comment in the chat, do add Jacob in there if you'd like to be in a chance with winning that. I think this is the first thing I have finished that is a modern folk embroidery chart. I have started Dream of a Winter Garden, and when I finish this model stitch for the stitch long I'm doing, that is the sort of work in progress that I want to get back to and finish that sooner rather than later. And then, like I say, I've got this With Love pattern that I've just bought and would like to stitch. I don't know if I'll do that next, but I would like to stitch it. It is 2024, some of you may know, is going to be my 50th birthday. I am not joining Sarah from Sew Me Sarah, Sally from Flossie Sews and Grows, who are also 50 next year. I will not be planning 50 starts. I'm hoping it will be quite a lot less than that, because I really, 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 really need to make some progress on my 50th birthday project. So I started on my birthday this year a full coverage project from Gecko Rouge. It is called Paxton's Tower and Cottage. It's a landscape of a pretty little cottage with sheep around it and a beautiful pink, I'm going to call it sunset. It might be a sunrise, but I think it's a sunset sky. And it's, yeah, I really like it. I like the style of it. I like the picture. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do a full coverage ever in my life. You know, I see people who are getting carried away with dimensions kits, and I didn't want to stitch dimensions kits 30 years ago, and I'm afraid I still don't want to stitch them now. They just don't do it for me at all. They're not a thing that I would ever want to have on my wall. And so the motivation to then spend a lot of hours stitching them is non-existent. But this Gecko Rouge kit, I'm like, yeah, I do really like that. And I would have that on my wall. So I am going to stitch it. And I do, to be fair, it took a few goes at the beginning, stitching that kind of, oh, Red Stag Among Roses. I don't think I know that one, Linda. Sounds glorious. Is it a monochromatic piece? Yeah, so I do really need to put a lot of hours in. The plan is that full coverage will be finished by my 51st birthday, before my 51st birthday. So I've got it's not 18 months. I've got about 16 months to go, having had about 8 months. I'm not a third of the way through. I'm about 4.5% through, 5% maybe. I've got it on Markup RXP. I don't know how anyone stitches a piece like that without something like that or Pattern Keeper or whatever to help them keep track, because when you've got, I think mine's got 80 something colours in it, so it's a lot of symbols. And what the Markup RXP does is let me choose a symbol, and it will then highlight all the stitches in that colour, so I can make sure I'm doing all of those in one go rather than missing one and then having to go back and do others. Oh, okay, 15, 16 colours. I'll have to look that up then. I don't remember. Is it, I don't know if that's a new one, or is it one of these older ones, the sort of Jacob Sleepers that haven't been around a lot, or maybe I just haven't noticed. I'm pretty sure I've not heard of it. So it sounds lovely. Red Stag Among Roses. It's interesting, isn't it? It is very folk, but it is also very contemporary, I think, the way that he charts. I mean, obviously, some of the ones that are reproductions that he's charting are obviously just reproductions and are very historical, but the ones that are his own designs, I do feel like there's something quite contemporary about the way he does it, rather than trying to make it look like it's 200 or 300 years old. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not surprised they are so very popular because, like you say, they're very distinctive. You know it's a Jacob chart as soon as you see it, and there's a sort of niche in there that he really has got. Right. Do feel free, if you've got questions, if you've got things that you want to share, add those in the chat. Tell us what you've been doing today. What's the best thing you've eaten today? Always a good question, I think, for any day. But, you know, particularly today, you might have eaten something amazing. What's the best present you've had if you've opened your presents? I have had some excellent things. These are from Charlie. I have a friend with a dog who she's my art teacher, and her dog buys her the best presents. Somehow he just seems to know exactly what she wants, and I find that Charlie has exactly the same quality. Yes, Charlie has had, by the way, today he has had a stocking with 2 squeaky toys, 3 bags of treats, and a tennis ball. He's not interested in the tennis ball. He's interested in the bags of treats, really. But he, you know, quite interested in the squeaky toys. And he also had a toy that was like a big pea pod with 3, you know, squashy, fluffy toys that he can pull out that you can hide treats underneath. I did not give him any of these, by the way. My mother, I was around at my parents' for lunch, and my mother has adequately given him more presents and more dinner than he needs. Today he has had both roast chicken and roast beef. So I don't think we need feel at all sorry for Charlie. He is not in need of any more walks today. And so this is what he's bought me. He's bought me this, the graphic design playbook, which is brilliant. It comes inside with pages and pages of, these are like stickers, and there are stencils, and there are bits to cut out, and there are sort of plain bits of paper as well. And then it's got sections on typography and posters, I think. I'm trying to find the list of chapters. Yeah, typography, posters, signs, identity. And there's all sorts of things. So there's like a chart here showing you all sorts of different ways you can make a letter, make your own letters. Or thing I'd love to do one day is invent a font. Wouldn't that be brilliant? This is very cool. So this is a style of poster where it's outlines of lots of different things superimposed. And so what you're supposed to do is kind of look through and find. So obviously down here, Holland Festival, and there are some stars, and there's this which looks a bit like barbed wire, and then I'm not quite sure what this is in the middle, but that's quite fun, and you can sort of do it by colouring in. What else? Is it possible to represent abstract concepts using simple shapes? Golly. Can you guess what these are? Loneliness, crowded, thin, inflated, and then you have to have a go at solid, liquid, heavy, light, fast, slow, hard, soft, electric, hesitation, spicy, magnetic. That'd be quite fun. So lots of things to think about, play about. It's a little bit like the equivalent of an activity book for children. I'm quite happy with an activity book for grown-ups. So I'm looking forward to working through that. I've done 1 or 2, but I'm looking forward to working through the rest of that. And then the other 2 things that he got me are 2 books of collage things. Cut up this book. So this is a book. They aren't stickers, but it's kind of quite thin, glossy paper, and you can see the sort of outlines around each thing of all sorts of images. So there's fruit, birds, animals. I don't know what that thing is in the middle, but it's terrifying. More animals. Let's keep going. What have we got here? Fancy ladies, I guess, and fairies. Oh, this is a little bit unicorny, isn't it? I think that's the kind of mythical ladies. Victorian furniture. Victorian children. They're not all Victorian. Houses. Big pictures of scary animals. And then at the back, there's sort of scenery. So you could use this as a base if you wanted to. So that one is cut up this book and create your own wonderland. And this is a very similar book. Actually, I've been trying to work out if it's by the same person, but the other one doesn't seem to have a name on it. Anyway, this is Extraordinary Things to Cut Out and Collage. And it's a very similar idea, but all the images are different. So, sporty ladies. Ooh. Naked men in statues that we hope YouTube isn't going to censor. That really looks like 1980s, 1970s recipe books, doesn't it? Skyscrapers, flowers, all sorts of things. Skeletons. So anyway, I really love collage. So I am going to have enormous fun with some of those. Yeah, it's a bad thing. I have a whole drawer in my desk that is things that I might one day want to put in a collage. So every magazine that I ever get, freebie, paid for, secondhand, whatever, I have to go through and tear out all the pictures and all the words that I think I might one day possibly want to stick into a collage. Yeah, there's quite a lot. But also there's certain kinds of images that I find just don't really come up, because images in magazines, you know, they're there for a different reason. They're not there to provide collage source material. They're mostly adverts or they're illustrating the article, and so I thought they would be really fun additions to that, because one of the things that I'm going to be doing over the next few days, I haven't yet got around to starting it, is this. Now, it was supposed to say book, and I wrote room. So it's supposed to be my art escape book, but I quite like it of my art escape room. So this is what we did at the very end of our last art session before Christmas. We all got given one of these, and we had to colour in the front, and we had to call it our art escape book, which obviously I failed at. And then every page we wrote a different prompt. So black and white, in the red, what have we got, down, round and round, up in the air, underwater. My favourite ones are at the end. Cut it, stick it. So there's one on every page. It's not a huge book, obviously. And the idea is that at any point over the Christmas season, you can say, I've got to go and do my art homework now. I can't possibly stay any longer talking to everyone and doing all these things. I've got very important art homework to do. And then you can take your little art escape book and open it, any page you like. You don't have to do it in order. I really like this one. I want to do this one. Hidden inside and look behind you. And do any kind of art you want on there. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a picture. It doesn't have to be a literal interpretation of any of the things. You know, so some of them are things like trees and flowers. You don't have to draw a tree. You could, I don't know, be inspired by trees in some other way. And then it'll be really fun to see at the beginning of next term what people have done with their little book. So I'm looking forward to that. Some of this is going to get collaged in it. It's going to get fun stuff stuck in it. I find that when I'm in, you know, sort of normal work time, I basically don't do any real art during the week at all. I go to my art class on Friday afternoons because I have Fridays off. And then if there's anything that I need to do to prepare for that or carry on with that or whatever, then hopefully if there's some time for it the weekend, that's when I'll do it. But it's hard to make much more time than that. Midweek in the evenings, that's when I'll usually try and stitch if I can. my work is very unpredictable in terms of timing. Every week is different, and there are days where I have to work in the evenings, either from home on Zoom or out at meetings or whatever. And you know what it's like, you can take the time off during the day, and I usually will, but that usually gets taken up with, chores and walking the dog and, going around to check my parents are all right or whatever it is, rather than sitting around doing art. I mean, occasionally I might, but that doesn't often happen. So stitching happens during the week, but other things not so much. And so, hey, Christy, Merry Christmas. Nice to see you here. So it's really nice. I have got to do bits of work this week, but not very much. It's not real paid work, but it is other work that I ought to do. I'm a trustee of a thing, and I have got some things I really ought to do for that. So I need to take some time to do that. But actually, I've got a lot of time, and I did do, and I'm very proud of myself for this, I did do all the housework this weekend, by which I mean I finished the washing up. I know. And I've swept the floor. It could do with mopping, to be honest. But in general, the house is clean and tidy, which again means I'm much more like to get the art out and do stuff. What will I be stitching on over the holiday, Linda? I think I said earlier, but maybe before you joined us, I'm going to be finishing my model stitch for my Celebration of Colour stitch along. And then when that's finished, I'm going back to Dream of a Winter Garden, which is a modern folk embroidery piece. I haven't got a huge start on it, but I'm stitching it in a Verissoir, and it was really beautiful, and I was really enjoying that. So that's what I plan away for the Evertoe Roxy Flosstube Modern Folk Embroidery Holiday Countdown, which includes all the floss, enough for you to stitch it. It also includes the bonus day 25 chart that we got given, and then you get days 24 and 25. I'm not sending you all 25 because it's really heavy by the time you've got 25 pieces of cardstock. So I'm not sending you that. Day 25 obviously has got the whole chart, but this version has got bits of highlighting and me scribbling where I was doing my changes. So you also get day 24, which is completely clean, and you'll be able to see all of that. If you would like to win, you just put the word Jacob somewhere in the chat, and so there's 2 charts and the floss, and there's a needle minder as well, which goes with that. We got various other bits. I'm keeping the ornament that came with this, and I ate all the edibles. So there will be no butterscotch or peppermint or After 8 hot chocolate. Can I just recommend After 8 hot chocolate? That was new to me, and it was an absolutely delightful thing. What is everyone else stitching on at the moment? Is anyone still finishing off a Christmas project? Getting started on a Christmas project for next year? Or have you gone back to some older, long-standing work in progress that you've had to put aside over the holidays? I don't know if Stevie's still here, but she put a picture on her Instagram. I can't remember what your Instagram name is. I know it's something about the homies, but if you're still here, put your Instagram name in the chat, because the picture of your beautiful, beautiful stitch, which I also can't remember, is it City of Books? I feel like it's called City of Books, and it's a huge piece and it sort of looks like a bookshelf, but every book is a sort of building. It's really beautiful. So you might want to go and check that out. But tell us in the chat, what are you stitching at the moment? Have you finished up everything that you meant to stitch before the holidays, and now you're excited about a new start? Or did you get given something for Christmas that you want to start? I don't have anyone in my family who I would trust to buy me craft materials. They would be well-meaning, but they would go to Hobbycraft and buy something that I would never, ever want to stitch. So it's just not really worth suggesting that. I got given bath things. There we go. Ank and the homies. Just go and check that. I mean, Also check it out if what you like are pictures of very, very, very fluffy cats and other things. But particularly the cross-stitch piece that she showed earlier was absolutely lovely. Yeah, City of Books, and then the Andriana is, I don't know if that's the designer or the brand. I'm stitching it. Oh, it's disappeared. Oh, it only shows me a comment for a few seconds, then it disappears away. And I missed who that was who posted about what they were stitching. Somebody stitching something Yule. Put that again. I don't know if there's a way of getting it to show me the working on a model for tomorrow. Hooray! Chrissy, I was just devastated about your computer and all the design stuff that's lost. I mean, that's just horrid. Yule Sal Design. Who's that by, Sharon? I don't think I've come across that. If it's a Yule stitch along, you must be quite far along, I guess. Yeah, Chrissy, that's awful. I'm glad you're managing to get one model stitched to release tomorrow, to release the pattern tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, that just sort of not being able to recover all that work, just devastating. Angela, hi, I'm stitching the flower sampler book which I started in 2020. Very good. That is going to be me and my Gecko Rouge. I mean, it's also me and the unfinished oh yeah, really sensible. Flober is and it's not exactly patterned, it's the sort of, I think it's the kind of natural oatmeal-y kind of fabric. So it might be that, or it might be a printed fabric from somewhere else. I think that's very sensible on a piece like that. I am half wondering. Good, little one for release tomorrow. Great. Yes, I'm half wondering with my Gecko Rouge. I've Witch's Garden Crafts. Okay, I'll have to look that up. I don't think I've heard of them. The Sky, which I said is this beautiful sort of pink sunsetty sky. I am stitching it on my own fabric, not the one that came with the kit, which is I can't remember. I think it's 18 or 20 count Ada. Anyway, I can't remember. In the colour Razzmatazz from Roxy Flosstube, which is beautiful variegated bright pinks and blues. And so it goes very well with the stitching that I'm doing, but also might potentially be the sky itself. 3/4 done. Good. So that's something you're going to finish this season, hopefully. It's always tricky, isn't it? I don't do a lot of Christmas stitching. I basically only do things that I do for Christmas smalls exchanges. So this year, that was 2 pieces. Hope to start the Jacob you got as a Christmas present. Oh, lovely Christmas present. Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun thing, isn't it? A new start as soon as... I don't know if I'm live or not. Okay, it says it's going again. Yeah, bad rural internet. Are you still there? Say hello if you're... Oh, yes, still live. Thank you, Linda. Good. My screen went blank a couple of times, but that's good. Okay, I'm back. So we haven't got long. We've 10 or 15 minutes left. So if you did have any questions, what are your stitching plans and goals for next year? Are you people who like to, you know, plan everything out and, you know, 4 different goals every month and set yourself assignments and all the rest of it? Good. Oh, that's good. It's nice to see that people are obviously coming back or hadn't completely disappeared. I had plans this year. So my main plans were to try and stitch something from stash every month, by which I really meant a chart rather than floss and fabric. And I did do that for the first few months, but stitch as well with vodka. I can imagine I would stitch really badly with vodka, to be honest. I'm not always great, even just with a cup of tea. So I was trying to do that, and then I was also... I really like the Get Your Kit On Sal to try and get some of the little kits that I've got. I don't have big kits. I haven't got, like I said earlier, I don't do dimensions. I don't do that sort of thing. But I had quite a few sort of smaller kits. And I think there may be 1 or 2 left, but I actually did quite well with that. I don't think I'm going to set myself those goals this year. I think I'd like to try and stitch fewer designs and more for fun. I was quite surprised when I did my finished braid. Almost half of what I stitched last year was a model stitch for a design. No, not quite half, but you know, a good chunk. And I like doing that. I like stitching my own things, but actually it definitely felt at various times to see, oh, there's quite a lot of pressure for this, particularly things where there was a deadline, because it was for a magazine or it was part of a series and the next one was coming out. And it was quite a stressful year in lots of ways. And I think the year coming up is going to be quite stressful. Although I have got a sabbatical in April, May and June, so all bets are off for what I might stitch then. So I think I'm going to be a bit gentler on that. Yeah, I don't have loads of things in stash that I'm just kind of itching to start. I've tried to be better about not buying things unless I'm going to stitch them straight away. Doing a no buy for stash year. If I buy something, it has to be for a current project. Yeah, that's a really good way of doing it, I think. You know, if I need something to stitch the thing that I am stitching on, fine. I don't need to be adding more fabrics to my drawer of fabric or more floss to my basket of floss. I think that's right. And yeah, I was going to say I don't do that, but that's a lie. I do that. But that's a good plan not to. The thing I think I will carry on with is I'm in the Classic Colourworks thread club, and they send out their threads alphabetically, and I'm already up to Q, I think. There's not loads more to come. Like, there aren't loads in the U's and the V's and the Y's and the Z's, I don't think. So I think I will carry on with it. I think I will be done with that club sometime during the year. But I don't plan to join a new thread club after that. I'm not in any fabric clubs. And I find it's easier to buy fabric more quickly than one can stitch on it. So I don't think I'm going to carry on doing that. So yeah, I'm not going to set myself rules. I think I am just going to stitch what I want to stitch, and you know, if that's a design, that's fine, but it can come out when I want it to come out rather than, you know, when I'm ready, rather than other deadlines, which is why I wanted to get really ahead with the colour stitch along, so that that's all sort of done and dusted and ready to go, rather than me thinking, oh, I must get this week's section done. Although I am thinking, if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen yesterday I was playing with other colour palettes, and I do think I might try and stitch along with it as well in the second colour palette, because it's so different from the one that I've done the model in, that I think that could be really interesting, to have the two to compare. So I might do that. But other than that, I tend not to do a lot of stitch alongs. I don't know. I did enjoy doing the one this Christmas. So I'm not ruling out signing up for that again next year. It's quite expensive though. I don't know. I tell you what I'm not doing. I'm not doing 50 starts, and I'm not doing 12 new starts in 12 hours on New Year's Day. Is it New Year's Day people do that, or New Year's Eve? I'm not sure. I'm not doing it. Anyway, I don't like having lots of works in progress. So I'm not doing that. I'm also wondering, I don't know, it's funny, isn't it? I sort of really love being in exchanges. And I've had 2 really lovely exchanges this Christmas and at the Stitch in London retreat. But also they always seem to take away from whatever else it is that I would be stitching. So I don't know. I don't know whether I will do those or not this year. But I'm certainly looking forward to a year of stitching. How are we doing for time? We've got... Oh, I can't really tell what time it is. And the clock on here is now wrong because we stopped. Anyway, I think we've got a few more minutes. Product stitcher, not a process stitcher. I agree, Christy. I really like finishes rather than starts, and which is one reason why I stitch smalls. Yeah, I like having the finishes. I just do. I think, you know, this is all suddenly going to get metaphorical. I'm having to sort of... I do agree. I think purple is a hard colour. It's a hard colour to mix in paint. I think it's probably quite a hard colour to dye, and therefore it's quite a hard colour to find. What sort of palette are you going with? Is it sort of brights or jewel tones or something more muted? And people might be able to suggest a good purple that could work. Yeah. I've forgotten I was in the middle of saying something and I cannot remember what it was. In general, my memory is very much better than it was about 3 or 4 months ago. HRT is pretty magic, which is good because it means I actually can get work done and other things. But oh yes, I was going to say about why I like small finishes. Yeah, I used to be much better at doing. I'm just doing the big project and I'm going to do it for years. I stitched a needlepoint carpet at one stage, bright clear end of pastel. Oh, that sounds lovely. Let me go and just get something and see if it helps. You know, I don't know if this is going to help or not. So I have got a selection of, I say a selection, an almost entirely complete collection of anchor threads. This sort of colour, maybe? I don't know if you can see that. Doesn't seem to want to focus. And I've got it, that's the sort of darkest one, but it also comes in paler colours. If it would help, I would be very happy to put those in the post to you. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I think I basically got broken by my PhD. PhDs are hard. My PhD was hard. It took forever. It was all told nearly 7 years in 2 different continents at 2 different universities, and it just absolutely broke me of long-term projects. Those 2. If you want to message me, I might have it somewhere, but I don't know. If you want to message me your address on Instagram, I'm very happy to put those in the post and see what you think. And so since then, I just haven't been able to cope with long-term projects. I'm starting to, at work again, take on some bigger things. And like I said, I'm starting to with my stitching as well with the Gecko Rouge. But I find it hard, and I really like a finish, therefore. I like to when I start something, to know that I will finish it. And I don't like to have things lying around. So I've got a Saviour's Praise, which is lying around, but it's a sort of deliberate thing. It is an unfinished object. It will be a finished object. It's not a work in progress. I don't feel daily guilt about not stitching on it or daily worrying if I will ever finish it. But everything else has to be, I've got a deadline, I'm finishing it. It's small, it's manageable, I can see the end. Because it's just hard, isn't it? I think real life there's enough of that. You want your stitching to be fun. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much, everyone who's come. It's been really nice. I hope it's been a sort of quiet hour or 10 minutes or whatever out of Christmas Day. I hate Christmas Day for all kinds of reasons. This year it's been fine, actually, but it's never my favourite day. And yeah, so I did this last year, and I think I probably am going to make it my tradition to spend an hour on YouTube every Christmas Day. And then anyone who wants to join, who wants just a reason to get out of a room with lots of people, or, you know, if there are not lots of people around and you want someone else different to talk to, you know, then I'm glad that if this has been able to be a happy time in that for you. And I hope the rest of your day is equally calm and peaceful and cross-stitch filled. And I will announce the winner of the giveaway. If you haven't yet done so, it's not too late to put the word Jacob in a message to win the Holiday Countdown Sal chart and the bonus chart, the Chemical State and the floss and the needle minder. Pop the word Jacob in the chat and I will announce it in my next normal video. I think that's it from me now. Happy Christmas, everyone. I'm going to turn off the thing in a minute when I work out how to do it. Get your comment in now if you need to. Right, this is now going to be me, like an 80-year-old, pointing at the screen. There. No, not there. Oh, cancel, stop streaming.